Chapter 940. I'm looking for Zedek Yonis, said Wilbur nonchalantly. One of the men hurriedly asked, and you are? Wilbur Penn. Sorry, Mr. Penn. We did not recognize you. Please forgive us. Wilbur laughed and said, it's all right. They seemed to be Zedek's bodyguards. It was honestly because of the location. Seacher Hotel was a hotel where government officials often gathered, so it was basically safe. It was why Zedek only brought 2 bodyguards. Otherwise, the security would be strict for Zedek. They hurriedly opened the door. One of them led Wilbur inside. He saw a huge hall with wonderful decor. The surroundings were beautiful. They passed through the hall, and there was a private room in the back. Only the elites of Seacher Town were allowed there. Private room 888 was a room that could not be reserved by the general public. They opened the door for Wilbur. Zedek was sitting inside. Zedek hurriedly stood when he saw Wilbur. He enthusiastically shook hands with Wilbur and said, "Thank you so much, Mr. Penn. I really don't know how to thank you. You're too courteous." "It was nothing," said Wilbur humbly. They each took a seat. Zedek shook his head and said, "I didn't expect you to solve the issue so quickly. You made me feel relieved. Otherwise, I wonder how much I'd have to suffer over that issue." Zedek was genuinely impressed. Wilbur only went to Roma for a couple of days, and all the hostages had returned safely. According to the employees he sent there to scout the situation, Wilbur had been killing it in Roma, and the locals cowering at his feet. Zedek secretly felt shocked too. Roma was not easy to handle. It had always been a place with hidden experts. He could not believe that Wilbur could leave without any repercussions. It just went to show how terrifyingly powerful Wilbur was. It was no wonder why Mr. Grayson recommended him. Wilbur was astounding. That was also the reason Zedek rushed to Seacher Town as soon as he could. He had to meet Wilbur face to face and hopefully get closer to him. That was also what Mr. Grayson told him. Wilbur had a bright future, so it was best to establish a close relationship with him. It was why he ditched his work and waited for Wilbur in Seacher Town. They chatted for a while, then someone knocked on the door. As the door opened, they saw Oren walk in with a big smile on his face. "Sorry to keep you waiting, gentlemen." He smiled and shook hands with them before taking a seat. Oren had to accompany someone like Zedek, so Wilbur was not surprised at all. Zedek looked at the appetizers on the table. Then he looked at Wilbur. He said, "Let's wait. Mr. Grayson will be here soon." Wilbur nodded. Benjamin made it happen, so it was normal for him to show up. It also proved that Benjamin favored Zedek. Benjamin arrived a moment later, and the 3 of them stood up to greet him. He waved it off and urged them to sit. The afternoon feast had begun. The wine was lovely, and the food was delicious. Suddenly, Wilbur looked at Oren and asked slowly, "Do you know someone named Shagula from the Commerce Department?" "Shagula?" Oren frowned, then shook his head. Frankly, no department chief was good enough for Oren to know. Wilbur smiled and said, "I ran into him downstairs, and we chatted for a short while. I think I should go to him and offer him a toast." Oren was taken aback. He wondered why Wilbur had to pay his respect to such a person.